Green energy. Are they planning to take over the South African power grid? Well, stay tuned to find out more about what China has in store for us. Well, due to the national power outage crisis in the South African grid, China has found another politically involved opportunity to control the economy, which by the way might end up being only run by the Chinese government in future. That's only if the theory is correct. Based on the past politically inclined methods of the South African society that involve any investment from China, there has been proof that China doesn't only positively contribute to the economy. Do you ever wonder if all of this isn't quite what we think? Or if it's not gonna be as big of a potential problem? While we are potentially using the monetary industrial complex to create an enemy for our country? I know your answer is no. We all know we have almost all the resources to generate power for our nation by ourselves. I can only mention a few basic products that are manufactured in China, but there's a million. Products that are too basic but seemingly important that our government sees fit for the nation to rely on China because of its massive scale and productivity. Wanna know what green energy is? Green energy.
As we become more and more aware of our impact on the environment, the importance of transitioning from conventional energy resources to renewable sources is becoming clearer to consumers. Fossil fuels, such as coal and natural gas, have been our primary source of power for decades. However, the process of getting fossil fuels out of the ground and into your home creates pollution and damages ecosystems. That's why more and more people have been pushing for cleaner and renewable energy solutions. These include green energy, clean energy, sustainable energy, and more. In this video, we will give you complete information about green and renewable energy. What is green energy and renewable energy? Types of green and renewable energy, difference between green energy and renewable energy, and much more.
Then subscribe to the channel.
What is green energy? Green energy is any energy type that is generated from natural resources, such as sunlight, wind, or water. It often comes from renewable energy sources, although there are some differences between renewable and green energy, which we will explore below. Types of green and renewable energy. The 6 most common forms are as follows. 1. Solar power. Solar is a clean source of energy which comes directly from the sun. This common renewable, green energy source is usually produced using photovoltaic cells that capture sunlight and turn it into electricity. Solar power has now become affordable enough to be used for domestic purposes, although it is also used on a larger scale to power entire neighborhoods. 2. Wind power. Wind energy uses the power of the flow of air around the world to push turbines that then generate electricity. 3. Hydropower. Also known as hydroelectric power, this type of green energy uses the flow of water in rivers, streams, dams, or elsewhere to produce energy. Hydropower can even work on a small scale using the flow of water through pipes in the home, or can come from evaporation, rainfall, or the tides in the oceans. 4. Geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is heat within the earth. Geothermal energy is a renewable energy source, because heat is continuously produced inside the earth. People use geothermal heat for bathing, to heat buildings, and to generate electricity. This type of green power uses thermal energy that has been stored just under the earth's crust. 5. Biogas. The beauty of biogas, if it can be described as such, is that it is not only a green energy source, but that it makes use of our waste products. Produced as a byproduct when organic matter decomposes, biogas comes from materials such as sewage, food, agricultural waste, and etc. These materials are stored in containers without oxygen, causing them to ferment and produce methane and carbon dioxide as well as other gases. The methane produced can then be sold on and used to heat homes, produce electricity, and fuel vehicles. At the same time, the waste placed in a biogas digester becomes nutrient-rich fertilizer, perfect for farms and even home use. 6. Biomass. This renewable resource also needs to be carefully managed in order to be truly labeled as a green energy source. Biomass power plants use wood waste, sawdust and combustible organic agricultural waste to create energy. Difference between green energy and renewable energy. Green energy is actually a subset of renewable energy, and includes those renewable energy resources that offer the greatest environmental benefit. So, although all green energy resources are renewable, but not all renewable resources are considered green. For example, wind power is green and renewable, but burning wood is renewable but not green energy.
Well, let's dive into the Republic's green energy ambitions and how far the implementation process has driven productivity in the sector.
The development of the renewable energy in South Africa started 10 years ago. With the EPP program, the government of South Africa opened the market to a private actor in the sector of producing electricity. The impact in the country has been, I think, positive.
Renewable energy has a very bright future. I think it's going to be a really big contender compared to fossil fuel energy and nuclear energy.
The development of this project was boosted by the support of the international investment institutions like the Climate Investment Fund. And we expect also that this institution to continue supporting the renewable market here in South Africa.
Kachu Solar One is very close to my heart for various reasons. The impact of this project can be felt by all of these people in the local area, as well as the broader South Africa and the Northern Cape.
1% of our revenue goes back to SED programs within the communities. As part of our education programs, we try and cover a few facets. One would be to assist the schools, and then we also support the internships. We currently have 7 interns continuously on Kina Solar One, and then we also have a bursary program that we are currently supporting through Study Trust for students from our local communities to get the opportunity to do tertiary studies.
We as the project make use of service providers that assist us in implementing these projects in the local communities.
This project that we have in Concept Camps, it's an agriculture project, and we try to get the project sustainable as soon as possible so that people can get independent.
During construction, we created about 1,300 jobs. Now we are at the stage that we employ around about 100 people. We cannot forget the reason why we started originally with renewable energies was not just to create jobs. It was for the protection of our environment, for CO2 reduction. It is great creating jobs, but we still have to protect the world our children is going to live in one day.
Well, yes, we all won't deny that the project plays a major role in the economy, but it's not nationwide, and from my point of view, it's mainly focused on the northern parts of the region for the next coming decades. You now see that it won't be enough to secure the power for the whole economy of South Africa. With all the effort the solar enterprise has tried to put into our grid, this is what the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy had to say about the ongoing power crisis.
Mantashe says all energy potential available in South Africa must be taken into consideration. He says wind energy is becoming one of the lowest cost clean energy sources for new electricity, but that sources including oil, coal, gas and nuclear must not be ignored.
You need to support the renewables which have time limits, which have needs support to be sustainable throughout. A combination of them and nuclear is one of the alternatives that we must look at carefully and not run away from each other. They must be complementary to each technology, so technology must complement one another.
He says government's flagship Independent Power Producers Procurement Program has been a significant enabler in developing the renewable energy sector here in South Africa. He says, however, that there's no influx of applications for such projects at the moment.
You can build a power station on embedded generation. There is no limit. We remove the cap altogether. But people want to project us as being hostile to the renewables. But policy announcements that we're making point to a different direction. So embedded generation has no limit. We've removed the cap altogether. We've allowed municipalities to develop their own energy. There's no flood of applications to do that, but policy has allowed it.
The South African Wind Energy Association says part of the problem is that it takes a long time to establish a wind energy project. Construction can take anything from 12 to 18 months, while environmental assessments and other processes are also part of the mix.
We have an open energy system, a liberalized energy system with a willing buyer, willing seller for people to build their own renewable energy plants. Municipalities are now starting to build their own renewable plants. So I think the market is opening, government is playing their role, industry is playing their role. I think we just need to coordinate a little bit better, unblock the red tape, make sure that the regulatory processes are a little bit easier to follow, making sure all of the permits and requirements are in place and are easy to obtain.
Governor says just under 3.4 gigawatt of wind energy has already been put onto the grid. He says its scope is vast and will become a greater role player in the near future.
Yes, clap hands once, twice, and on a third clap. Guess whose mail shows up on our president's doorstep? The data snatcher catches us right on time. And by the way, that's not a moon.
Beijing is working with Pretoria to ensure that the power crisis is dealt with ahead of the much-anticipated gathering in August. Chinese ambassador in South Africa, Shen Jiandong, says they are keen to lend a hand.
Advanced cooperation in technical training and improve professional capacity. It's a pleasure to see that the Chinese Energy Investment Corporation has already been in communication with Eskom on electricity technologies. China State Grid will also send a team of experts to South Africa very soon to provide technical advice. China is ready to continue to send more technical experts here. We are ready to share more technical know-how with South Africa and provide more personnel.
He says South Africa must tap on the potential presented by renewable energy.
At present, even though South Africa is experiencing unprecedented challenges of power shortage, we are glad to see that relevant efforts are seeing quite positive efforts. As South Africa's good brother, good friend, and good partner, China very much related to the challenges here, and we are ready to provide support to South Africa within our capacity.
Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan has reaffirmed that this must be a fair process.
The world is indeed, as has been pointed out, undergoing very fast changes as far as the energy situation is concerned. However, as those changes take place, we need to be very mindful of not just the energy part of the energy transition, but also the just part of the energy transition. And that is something that I saw in China a few weeks ago, where, at least on the logistics side, but certainly on the energy side as well, too many operations were actually happening without any human beings in sight. And it's something that South Africans and Africans need to be exposed to, that one of the consequences of the kind of transitions that we are undergoing is the impact on workers, the impact on current businesses, and the manner in which we manage the just part of the just energy transition as each of our societies. And our first opportunity in South Africa is, as we undergo those changes, at the Komati Power Station, but subsequently others as well.
Minister in the Presidency for Electricity, Dr. Josienzo Ramakgopa, says clean energy is key and they are hoping to learn from Beijing.
Firstly, we do accept that we need new generation capacity in addition to improve the efficiency of and reliability majority of the installed units at the ESCOM. And that's significant for purposes of our decarbonization agenda and ensuring that there's energy security, sovereignty in the country. So we're looking at partners who have demonstrated significant technological, innovative and industrial capacity to be able to help us to resolve the problem that is confronting us. And of course, China has brought about 24 entities that are in the renewable energy space, stretching from generation, battery storage, solar PV manufacturing, transmission, who are here to have a conversation with some of the key players in the energy ecosystem in the country. And we think that we must be very close to the conversation, and in fact not just close but help to direct the conversation.
This is part of the South African government's efforts to ensure that the power crisis is given undivided attention to save the economy and stabilize the constrained grid once and for all.
Well, I don't know if the problem lies with its citizens or the government, which is getting us into the whole mix-up while we have the resources. We also have to note down the other issues that might have caused the economy to deflate its wealth so quickly that it negatively affected the national power grid, which is, well, to find out more, hit the like, share and subscribe button.